To make string art, you need some wood, some nails, string, a pattern, and a hammer. First, you need to prepare your wood. You can use about anything you want. You don't have to go buy new wood. I've used some old cupboard doors. You can leave them plain. You can stain the wood. You can paint the wood. Find recycled wood, an old pallet. You also need to decide how you're going to hang it. Often we just drill a hole in the back. You can also fasten a hanger on the back or put holes through and some wire. You're going to need a hammer. The size of it is up to you. And you're going to need some nails. The amount depends on your design. I've been using these 3/4 inch nails with a head on them, and I get about 2 projects done per pack. Next, you need a design. I go and look for a simple clip art image of the design I want. There are some pattern things online. This works for me. I grab the photo and then I take it into another program and enlarge it and print it. I'm going to go ahead and put a towel in between the piece of wood and my tile tabletop so that I can pound the nails in and show you on the video. I'm going to position my paper down a little bit because I'm not going to do the saucer part of this mug, and so I'm placing it exactly where I want it on the board, and now it is ready to start putting the nails in. There's no specific way that you need to do this. Mine, I like to space about a 1/2 inch apart. When it's a curve area, I tend to put them a little bit closer together so that it gets more of a curve. If it's a straighter area, they can be spaced apart a little more. I don't have any exact thing to tell you how far to put them in. I just put them in enough to be sturdy, but yet enough nails sticking out the top that I can put several things of string on it. I have found needle nose pliers to be helpful in several parts of this process. If you have trouble holding the nail at a specific place or hitting your finger, you can use them to hold the nail. I usually tend to use them more if there's a smaller part and the nails are closer together. I did use them up around the stem part of this cup. Here all my nails are in, and I'm going to start taking off the paper. I just want to remind you to think a little bit about your design and what kind of design, and if you want 2 colors. I knew for this coffee mug I wanted to make that little dark part inside the cup to make it look like there was drink in it, so I needed to put nails there so that I could use the other color string. And then as you can see, you just gotta kind of work the paper off. I like to save the paper so I can reference it as I'm working later, because sometimes once it's pulled off it can get confusing when you're looking at just the nails on the board. But occasionally it does rip. It's not a big deal. You just basically have to get the paper off of the board and the nails. Now you get to put the string on. I just start by using the first part of tying your shoe. I don't actually knot it around the nail to start. And I've used a lot of different kinds of string. It's really dependent on what I have. As you can see for this project, I have some different weights of yarn and I have some cotton string. I have seen people that use embroidery floss as well. There really are no set rules, and it really is a creative process with what you want to do. I started with this orange because I like the look of layering some different colors just to give the project a little bit more depth. So I'm doing a vertical design with 1 layer of this orange yarn, and then I'm going to move on to other colors. I do recommend knotting the yarn to the nail that you are finishing at so that the yarn doesn't pop off. Next, I'm going to do an outline with the red just around the edges. I really like the look of having an outline at the bottom of the nails and at the top of the nails for the very edge of the project. I'm sorry if it's a little hard for you to see, but I'm actually wrapping the yarn around each of the nails on the very outer edge of the red mug. And here it is already outlined, and now I'm pushing the yarn down towards the board, especially on those top nails where I know I'm going to need to put more yarn. It works good to use needle nose pliers or your fingers and keep the yarn down closer to the board with room at the top of the nail for the other colors. Now I switch to brown, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in the coffee in the top of the mug with the brown yarn, and I want to do this before I finish the red because I don't want the brown to be the last color on the top of those nails. After tying the brown yarn to the nail where I wanted to start, I went back and forth on the nails in a vertical way, as you can see, up and down. After getting the whole way across, I switched it up a little bit so the yarn would go in a different direction and fill in the pattern. Again, that is totally up to you how open or filled in you want it and how many times you want to go back and forth. It's whatever you want to make it. When I finished with as much of the brown as I wanted, I cut it and actually tied the ending piece to the starting piece. It makes it a little easier than tying it around a nail and is just as secure. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the cream on the coffee mug, and I needed to compare it to my paper to make sure I know which nail I wanted to start and end on. Again, a reminder to take some time and push the yarn down if you're not finished with your project so that there's room on the nails for the next color. I went ahead and hid the ends because I'm done with that color, and I figured the end will blend in better if I get it under its own color. So I used that needle with the big eye on it and a blunt end. You can also sometimes use a crochet hook to slide underneath. The yarn is knotted to the nail, so it doesn't have to be fastened securely. I just want the end to be underneath and out of the way so that it looks neat and there's no frays sticking out. Okay, the colored ends are tucked underneath, and it's time to continue working on the red part of the mug. As I said earlier, I like to finish up with a nice solid edge at the top of the nails. So that's what I'm doing here. This string did not end up at the same nail that I started on, so I just knotted it around the nail where I ended. The next day I finished the steam part of the picture, so that's why the color changed. Sorry about that. And I also wanted to point out that I did this in two separate pieces because I didn't want any connection between the two pieces of steam. I wanted a clear break, so I knotted, wrapped, and tied off, and then redid with the other side. For my design, I decided to keep the steam pieces a little bit lighter, not as much string, so it didn't really leave me a way to stick those ends underneath and hide them. So instead, I just cut about 1/4 to 1/2 inch from the knot on the last nail and used a little bit of white glue to fasten the end of the string against the other strings already there. And now the string art is finished. Thank you so much for watching. I hope your project turns out well. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it.